On this week's episode, it's all about enchilada soup, 2 ways. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to One Dish, 2 Ways. I'm Sheila and Joe's behind the camera. Today we're going to make enchilada soup. This is something that Joe said he was craving. And so this is going to be a little bit different. And I'll explain it, but I want you to see. So, of course, I don't use oil, or I try not to use oil. So I put a little bit of water in here, turn this on medium. And as you can see, well, hopefully you can see, Joe's actually downstairs, so I don't have his Zoom part right now at the moment. But I've got water jumping. So that means this is warm and this is hot enough. I've got this on 6, which is like a medium high. I'm ready to get the onions sweating. So I've got here 1 onion already diced up. So I'm going to add this in. So you could use a little bit of oil if you wanted to. What I'm going to do with this enchilada soup is we got inspired by a recipe that Joe found, and we're just making some adaptations. And the reason this video is a little bit different, so in addition to the onions, it says to do a jalapeno pepper, but we found something at the grocery store that I thought was very unique. So we're going to use that instead. And I wanted to show it to you. So these are hatch green chilies. They were in the freezer section at Walmart. I have never seen this before. They're actually from New Mexico. And I thought this would be a great addition to the enchilada soup. And of course, Joe was on board with that. Because most of the time, when you see green chilies, at least in my area, it's in the can with the diced tomatoes and the green chilies. This is the Aldi brand, but usually it's Rotel. So anyway, so that's what we're going to use instead of the jalapeno. So we have what we think is equivalent. Joe cut some off from the freezer. We let it defrost on the counter for a couple of hours. What we think is the equivalent of 1 jalapeno. So I would say this is a couple tablespoons. They're already diced up. So I'm going to add this to it. And we're going to let them cook for a little bit. And I'm going to explain what's interesting about these green chilies is it said that they were not ready to eat. So that you have to cook them. And I thought that was interesting because they look to me like they had already been charred. They have little black specks on them and they're already diced. But I guess it specifically said that on the package. So I thought that was interesting. Put my spoon here. But the reason this one's going to be a little bit different today is, of course, when you think enchilada soup, you historically think chicken. And Joe did get himself some chicken yesterday, and he went ahead and he shredded it up. And then I am going to use soy curls as my chicken in the recipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this big batch of the soup, the base. Then when it's all ready to go, I'm going to portion out half of it into a container for me with these soy curls. And then I'm going to keep the rest for Joe, because what happens at the end for Joe's version is you not only add the chicken, but then you add cream cheese and a little bit of cheddar cheese. And so that's why we're going to separate it out. Now, could we have done 2 batches of soup? Absolutely. But our freezer's already pretty full with items that we make a lot of, and then we put it in the freezer. And so we didn't want to do that today. We really just wanted about 3 servings each. And that's what our ultimate goal is with this recipe today. So the soy curls. So the soy curls are these dry soy curls from Butler. I can get them at a local grocery store in their bulk bin. It's like a healthy grocery store here in Central Illinois. And that's what I did. And then all you do, because they're dry, is you put them in warm water for 8 to 10 minutes, and then you drain off the water, and then they're good to go. You just need to put them in. You can stir fry with them. You can put them in a soup, whatever you want to do with them. So I haven't used them in a ton of things, but I thought this was a great idea to use them in. So they've been soaking here for like 4 or 5 minutes. So once we get the soup going, and I pause the video because obviously we got to let it cook, and you're not going to want to sit and watch it cook for 20 or 30 minutes, then I'll drain it, and then they'll be ready to go for the soup. So I'd love to know in the comments if anybody has ever used the soy curls before. I'm excited to use them a different way. I only buy a little bit at a time until I can figure out how I like them and what I like to do with them. So these onions are sweating off nicely. I've still got a little bit of water in my pan so that they don't stick, which is good. And the green chilies. I mean, it already smells really good in here because I love the smell of cooking onions. There's just so much wonderfulness in that. So then the other ingredients are pretty simple. It's a can of drained black beans, and it's supposed to be a can of corn, but I have a little bit, what I think is just about the equivalent of 1 can of corn left in this bag of the roasted corn from Trader Joe's, which we love because you can use it on so many different things. So I'm going to add this bag, and then diced tomatoes with green chilies, enchilada sauce, and we're using obviously vegetable broth and some garlic. That's really the base of it. And so in the original recipe, she does a collection of spices. Joe picked this enchilada sauce up and he wants to use this. I said that was fine. Didn't matter to me. So like I said, this was what he was wanting. And I don't know about you guys. Now we're filming this the end of February and it has gotten so cold again and windy. And so soup is going to be the perfect option for our dinner. Okay, so we've got this going. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more water because we're getting dry in the pan. And we need to add our garlic. We didn't want to add our garlic too quick because you don't want to just overcook that garlic. So I've got my garlic press here. I've got this garlic. This is actually garlic Joe grew last year that we've been storing in a cool, dark place. So I'm glad we get to use some of it up. And then I'm just going to, because if you never had the Pampered Chef one, or there's might be other brands that do it too, but you don't have to peel it. You just need to put it in the garlic press. It squeezes it out, and I'm using 4 cloves here. And then you always take the knife and get all of it off, and then, or all of it out. And then what you have left, now that's good stuff, is your skin, and that's what you want to take out of there. And the one from Pampered Chef, I believe I always put it in the dishwasher. So yeah, now we got that garlic in there, smelling awesome. Make sure that your pan isn't too dry after you add the garlic, because like I said, you don't want it to burn. It becomes very fragrant very quickly. So, boy, this is just smelling so good. Now, I will say on these green chilies, there were different heat levels, and we got the medium. And then the recipe also called to add hot sauce, but I told Joe we better hold on that hot sauce until we try it and make sure that we haven't done too much heat on this thing, because I don't know how spicy the enchilada sauce is. It says mild, so maybe we're going to be okay and we can add hot sauce, and we've got all kinds of different kinds of hot sauces. Okay, these onions are looking good. They have sweated. They've started cooking down. So now let's just go ahead and add the other ingredients, and we can put the top on. So we're going to add our 1 can of black beans that are drained and rinsed. We're going to add our corn, our corny corn, which is going to be awesome. I love this corn. Okay, now let's add our liquid ingredients. So we've got the 1 can of the diced tomatoes with the green chilies. It also calls for a 10-ounce can of enchilada sauce. We got the big one, which is the value size, and it's actually 28 ounces. 28 ounces. So we're going to use it later in the week for part of it, and then part of it we're going to put in the freezer for another meal. That's one way you can get the value, but then put it in the freezer just to make sure you use it. You don't want to not use it and then it go bad. So to measure out the 10-ounce can I need, I'm just going to use this 10-ounce can of the diced tomatoes with green chilies. Okay. That's perfect. Add that in. And then to clean this can out, we're going to use our broth. So this is veggie broth. You could use chicken if you wanted. So put it over. And this way I can get all the goodness out of this can by cleaning it out with the veggie broth. And I use the water. I've showed this multiple times with the veggie, the dry mix. So sometimes there's a little bit left in there. So I'm going to do that. And then this packet of the enchilada sauce, you could easily use taco seasoning too. Really, it's versatile, whatever you want. Smells good. So we're going to add that in and stir it up. And then we need to get it coming to a low boil. And then we're going to put the lid on it and simmer it. So if you think about it, everything that's currently in here basically just needs to be warmed up. The onions do need to cook a little bit more, but the corn needs to become unfrozen. And the Black beans need to be heated through. The garlic cooked a little bit more. But other than that, there's nothing in here that needs to be cooked. Now, her original recipe, she has you cook the chicken in here and then pull it. But we're not going to do that for the reason we mentioned, because we're going to separate it out. So that's why we're doing it this way. It's just so versatile. Again, you don't have black beans, add pinto beans. Or if you like kidney beans, use kidney beans. You can easily do that. If you don't like corn, use zucchini. It's just really adapt it to what you have. Or maybe this is a good recipe for you to finish up a bunch of ingredients. Another way, maybe you froze some tomatoes after garden season because you couldn't use them all. Throw them in here. It'll work perfectly. So this is looking phenomenal, and it smells so, so good. I was worried that the packet would be too much, but it's not at all. I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but it's not. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so we're going to get this up to a boil, and then we're going to put the lid on it, and we're going to let it simmer for 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and show you what it looks like. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to lift this here in a second. I have turned it off because it was really boiling and doing its thing. So I want to show you how we're going to finish it. But before I do that, I want to show you the soy curls. So I left them in there for another 5 minutes after we got off camera, and then I drained them. And this is what happens. So look at that. They pull just like chicken does. So that's what it looks like. So I think I've had it in a soup. I've definitely had it in a stir fry, but that's what it ends up being. And I just want to make sure I showed that to you guys. So in this bowl is a bunch of spinach that I kind of just chopped up with my hand. I'm going to add the soy curls because this is going to be my bowl of the soup. Okay. So let's open this up and show you what it looks like. Wow. So Joe, can you get that? I'll stir it. So everything's ready. Everything's done. We're good to go. All the spices, we're good to go. But now we need to finish them. So I'm going to so Joe, you got to tell me when I get to half. I'm going to take half the soup out, and I'm going to put it in here, and this is going to be my portion. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of the liquid. Okay, and I'm going to stir mine up, and then I'm going to put the lid on it. A lid to get the spinach to melt, to wilt, and then to heat up those soy curls. Now in Joe's, we need to add the chicken and the cheese. So first I'm going to add the chicken. Here's the reason why. We've got to get this temp somewhat down. If you pour all this cheese in when it is super hot, it's going to separate and curdle, and you don't want that. So we're going to start with the chicken. And Joe, how much chicken would you like, sir? Well, keep in mind, you still got the cheese to go in. Let me stir it. More? Okay. Good? A little more? Okay. So we've got the chicken in there. So it's going to start, because the chicken is room temperature. Just on the counter because after he shredded it. So we're going to let this cool down just, 30 seconds or so. You could also do ground beef in here. We were also talking at lunch when we were discussing this recipe. You could use some shredded leftover beef if you had a pot roast. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be chicken, okay? So keep that in mind. So this is going to be down now enough where it's not going to curdle, but yet it'll still melt. So in here, because we halved it, the recipe called for 4 ounces of cream cheese, but we're using 2 because half the soup is in there. Oh, okay, Google, stop the timer. And we did cook this for 15. I put the timer on for 20, but at 15, it was a roiling boil, and I opted to turn it off because we didn't need to do that. Now, if you were cooking the chicken in here, you had raw chicken, and you were cooking the chicken in here like the recipe says, you're going to need that whole time because you want to make sure that your chicken is, cooked all the way through. So the cream cheese is starting to melt down. And now we need to add our Joe shredded a bunch of cheddar today. So we're going to put that in. I think it was a cup, right? So we would want a half a cup. And then he might add more. So then we were talking about, what are we going to eat with this? So I'm probably going to have a salad with mine. I told him he could make cheese quesadillas. He could have tortilla chips on the side. We have a lot of fruit cut up since it's the beginning of the week, it's the end of the weekend. So I've done all my food prep and we got all kinds of stuff in there. So there's lots of different ways you could serve this. And see, now you see the color on this has changed and that dairy has now made this super creamy. So, and this is what you ultimately are going to want if you want this version of it. So, and like I said, I turned this completely off because it is more than well hot enough to melt all these cheeses, get this chicken hot enough. But yeah, it's completely good. It's like now a dull orange. Okay, so let's look at mine. I need a different spoon for mine. Okay, so let's take the lid off mine. Boop. Oh, yeah. Look at that. I got all that good spinach in there. Those soy curls are in there. Mine looks phenomenal. Even this one, you could add spinach. Joe wouldn't really like that, so I'm not going to add it. So these are both ready to go. So we're going to pause you for a second, put them in a bowl, and then we'll try them on camera. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here's what they both look like. Look at that. They look so good. Joe historically puts the little oyster crackers in soup, but he's going to try it without that to start off. So, oh, I cannot wait to try this. You think any hot sauce? I don't.
No.
In the back of your throat, you can feel it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, just a small amount of spice to it. But
this is really good.
You can definitely taste all that cheese and the
cream cheese
in it.
Don't add those. We're going to do a picture. So, this is really good. I highly recommend you give this a try. Like I said, in the description, I will link the original recipe, tell you the changes we did, and I'm also going to link the Butler soy curls in case anybody wanted to look those up. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful week. See you next week.